Hi Ray, so this first video is just talking through the embedded data that you were talking about with Aaron yesterday. So I've just created a copy of your survey in your account called Q Support Rollover, so you can take a look and see the changes that I've made in here. Obviously didn't want to make changes to your real survey because it is currently live, but I'll talk through the changes we need to make and the considerations we have to take on board when the survey you're going to be editing is actually still active. So I'm just going to go down. Basically what Aaron has suggested is here for question 1A, 1B and 1C, the three answer choices are the same, but the text differs in each one. Now I know you want to just have all of the data for these three questions stored together because the scale points are the same. Basically what we're going to do is we are going to only have one question, and we are going to use embedded data and pipe text to pipe in the question text relevant to what answer choice they choose in question 1S or S1A. So basically we need to ensure that these questions right here are still held onto for now, because there are still people who are currently in progress. So the changes we make to your survey, they won't be able to see those because they've already clicked on the link. But basically the changes we're going to make are going to be specific to people who have already completed the survey and people who are going to be taking the survey moving forward. We can take a look at what we can do with those partial responses a little later on. So basically we have the first thing we're going to do is we're going to move these three questions into a block on their own so that they are hidden, or actually we don't even need to do that. The first thing we would need to do is just hide these questions from future participants who are going to be coming in, because we don't want them to actually be able to see these. We just want them staying there for now, so the data that's already collected in these questions, there's nothing, actually going to happen to it. So remember, this is a copy. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to click in here, edit, and I'm going to put it in a condition for display logic that can never be met, so that this question will never appear to our participants. So I'm just going to say, for example, the intro question is not displayed, because that's always going to be displayed to participants. And I'm going to click save. So now this question is hidden from future participants moving forward. I'm just going to do the exact same for question 1B. And 1C as well. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create the new question that we're interested in. So basically I'm just going to go ahead and copy this question right here. I'm going to move this up just above it, and I can just call this question 1, since we don't need A, B or C, and I'll just add a page break after it so it's on its own. I'm going to remove the display logic because I want this to display to everyone. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to edit out the text in here so that it changes each time. So now going up, we're going to move into our survey flow. And I believe the question we are basing this off of is this question QS1. So we're going to just add a couple of branches after default question block 1. So I'm going to click on add below. I'm going to go to add branch, and my condition, it's basically this is going to be like that display logic we had set up previously. So this is based off of QS1. I'm still in the process is selected, and click OK. Then I'm going to add a new element here, and I'm going to make an embedded data field. I'm going to call this text. And then in here, I'm going to write the question text that people should see if they choose I am still in the process of rolling over funds. So saving this for now, I'm going to go get the text that belongs to that question, which is, block 4. So it is this one. So how would you rate the process of rolling over funds so far? I'll leave please select 1 answer below. So I'm going to copy that text, and I'm going to put this in as the value here. Next, I'm going to duplicate this branch and then edit the condition to basically be I decided against is selected. And then I just go and find the question text for what the people who say they have decided against it and put that in. So that would be this one here. Even though you did not roll over funds, again, I'll leave the please select 1 answer below. I'm going to copy that. And then finally, I'm going to go get the third question as well, or the third question text, which is how would you rate the process. And this is for people who say they have fully transferred over at this stage. should be a period in there. So then again, I just duplicate this block and just change out the condition to be I've completed, sorry. Okay, and then the value in here is how would you rate. And then I save the flow. And the last thing I need to do now is go to my new question that I've created that I want the text to dynamically change in, which is this one right here, question 1. So I just remove this text right here. Oh. Then I go to pipe text, and I'm going to pipe the value from an embedded data field, and my embedded data field is called text. Now this is case sensitive, so just make sure you type it in exactly as it is in your survey flow, and click insert. So now whichever question text that is relevant to the participant will be displayed here, and that's obviously based off of question 1 QS1. So now everyone that comes in will see a different question, but they're technically answering the same question, so all of the data will be stored together. And this is obviously relevant to people who are moving forward, or who are going to be taking the survey moving forward after the changes have been made. Now I'm going to quickly talk through what we would do with the people who have actually already completed the survey. So I'm just going to go back out to the real survey for a second, and that's just purely to export the data. I'm not going to make changes to your actual survey, so it's this one here. I'm going to go ahead to view results. I'm going to download the data. Oh. I want to leave everything the way it is, and I'm just going to download the CSV format. So once this opens up, I'll just bring it over so you can see. Once this loads up, we will see in here that we have all of our embedded data, and then we get to question 1. You'll see that now there's a new question being created in here called question 1. Oh, apologies, of course there's not, because you haven't actually answered because I haven't actually added this to this real survey. But what would happen here is, since I've added a new question called question 1 here just before question 1A, there would be a new column just called question 1A. So I'm just going to manually add that in really quickly. Okay, so I'm going to call this one Q1. This is what it would look like. It would be basically blank the whole way down. But now I see the people who have actually answered questions 1A, 1B, and 1C here. So all I'm going to do is just literally grab all of the data in here. So I'm just going to copy all of this, and I'm going to paste it all into Q1. So I'm going to copy and paste. Copy and paste, just so that all responses are now in the one column. So now I can actually report on this all together.
And we can also, if we don't like a particular one here, let's say we didn't want this neutral, we could go ahead and remove it. So I just clicked on it, removed all the...
And that's it. So now I have all of the data from the original questions in here. I'm going to leave that the way it is. But now I also have a column that has all of the combined data together. And like I say, any participant who comes in and takes the survey from scratch now, their data will be added to this Q1 column, so you can report on this all together. So once you've merged all this into one column, just save the file, ensure it stays as a CSV format. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that really quickly. Okay, so that's now saved. So now what I would do is I would go to my survey. I'm just going to go back to my copy survey for now. And finally, I would just import this back into my responses area. So at the moment, you'll see I have no responses in here. Obviously, you would have responses in here. So I just go to Advanced Options, Import Responses. Now what this is going to do is it's going to duplicate all of the responses that you currently have in your survey. So I would recommend clearing those out beforehand, or maybe afterwards if you'd prefer, whichever you think works best for you. But I would go ahead and just do this. I would find the 2016 TA rollover study. And then that will just import everything here. I'm just going to go and find Q1 just really quickly to show. So now I have okay, so yeah, it's in here anyway. But basically now when I click import, Okay, and this error is appearing because this isn't the real survey that the CSV belongs to. This belongs to your real survey, and this is just a copy. But if you were to actually import this into your real survey, this would work correctly as long as all the questions line up, which they of course would at this stage. So basically then you will have all of your responses in here. They will also imported responses. But when it comes to actually doing your report, you would just need to make the table for question 1, and all of the answer choices for question 1A, 1B, and 1C will all be within one table. And also then any responses that come in future will also be pulled in. The only exception to this, as I kind of previously mentioned, will be responses in progress. So probably at some stage, once your response is in progress, or maybe after a few weeks or something like that, once you're kind of happy enough that maybe your responses in progress are completed or whatever, or maybe even after the survey is completely finished and you're not expecting any more responses, because there's not too many responses in progress in your survey, I would then just do the export again, take a look at those responses in progress, and then they would basically be, you'd be able to see them when you export your data, as they would be the ones that have a blank space in Q1, in the Q1 column. And then it's just a matter of dragging over their responses into this column again and importing, and then you'll have you don't need to import all responses. You can just import the new responses if you wish, so you don't have to go ahead and delete all the duplicates again. But that would just make sure that all of your responses have answers coming in as Q1. So I know this is not exactly ideal, but in future, if there is a question that you want to pull in all the data together in one table, it will be necessary for it to be one question, because you can't just combine data from different questions into like all together. So if you do want to set something like this up in future, just get in touch and we can talk through ways of setting it up before you actually send it out. And then this will help prevent kind of having to do all of this on the back end after you collect responses.